You give us 2 more minutes, sir.
Okay, no problem. Go through that. I'll keep the sheet ready till then. Take your time.
Sir, earlier.
Okay.
Mm.
What do they want? It is now 1st of September. Respond to the CEO of Breac's request for working on the following areas: service level agreement, value based management. Now, Breac is a sports clothing goods company which operates globally. It purchases sports clothing goods which have already been partly manufactured, completes the manufacture of the goods, and then sells these goods through its global retail outlets. Breac's mission is to be the best sports clothing goods company in the world. Breac has 25,000 employees and a turnover of 8 billion approximately. Each country of operation is classed as an individual SBU. Briac has agreed with Govan, a large global manufacturing company, that Govan will manufacture the major part of all sports clothing goods for Briac. Briac will then complete the manufacture of these clothing goods. This completion work includes Briac adding its own brand name, specialist climate cool material, and synthetic waterproof fabric. Briac will then dispatch the clothing goods to its retail outlet. Briac's manufacturing departments have highlighted that the clothing goods received from Goan are often neither up to the required standard nor delivered on time. Problems have also been identified in both the retail outlets and by the end user, which have been attributed to the poor quality of material supplied by Goan. Specific quality problems have included stitching disintegrating, poor quality of material, and clothing goods being incorrectly sized. Briac and Govan each have their own individual information system. Briac's is an advanced computerized system, whereas Govan is more basic and parts of it are manual. The two companies' systems are unable to communicate with each other. Briac staff at various levels in the organization have suggested that a formal service level agreement with Govan is required if the agreement is to continue. The CEO has asked you, as an external consultant, to assess the problems which may be faced by Briac when developing a service level agreement with Govan. First of all, what is a service level agreement? And by doing that, what exactly are we trying to achieve?
Uh, uh, it is an agreement between a producer and a customer in
Mm-hmm.
which the customer highlights the basic level of quality, time, or the quantity of and specifications of the product that the producer is producing for the customer.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
And what are the problems here which the service level agreement would try to solve basically? Tell me the
so,
problems first.
so may I?
Yeah, of course.
Uh, Sir, sir, the department has highlighted a couple of problems. First was the standard of the material used or the product delivered is not up to the mark. Second was the delivery time. It is often not delivered on time, and the which has eventually resulted in the end user having a similar problem, which is stitching distinguished and product quality is poor and the size is different. So the problem is majorly towards the quality of the product.
You are right, but let's break this into two parts. First of all, let's talk about damaged or faulty goods, right? What all problems are arising and at what stage are they arising? Okay. If you look at this, uh, this completion work हो गया. Briac's manufacturing department क्या हो रहा है? Briac has agreed with Govan, a large global manufacturing company, that Govan will manufacture the major part of all sports goods for Briac. Briac will then complete the manufacture of these goods. So can I say that ये ऐसा यहाँ से लेके यहाँ तक maybe is Govan's responsibility, and Briac is responsible from here up to this point. ठीक है। दिस कंप्लीशन वर्क इंक्लूड्स ब्रियाक एडिंग इट्स ओन ब्रांड नेम। ठीक है, यहाँ पे ब्रियाक इज एडिंग द ब्रांड नेम पार्ट। देन स्पेशलिस्ट क्लाइमेट कूल मटेरियल एंड सिंथेटिक वाटरप्रूफ फैब्रिक। उसके बाद ब्रियाक विल देन डिस्पैच द क्लोथिंग गुड्स टू इट्स रिटेल आउटलेट्स। So, what Briac is doing is Briac's job is add brand name, then specialist climate cool material, and add synthetic waterproof fabric. ठीक है। Briac's manufacturing departments have highlighted that the clothing goods received from Goan are often neither up to the required standard nor delivered on time. Let's talk about not being up to the required standard. Problems have also been identified in both the retail outlets and by the end user, which have been attributed to the poor quality of material supplied by Goan. Specific quality problems have included stitching disintegrating, poor quality of material, and clothing goods being incorrectly sized. Stitching disintegrating matlab jo the stitching part is there that is coming out, and the fab matlab the it's like kind of tearing apart. ठीक है। Poor quality of material and clothing goods being clothing goods being incorrectly sized. See, it's not as if Briac is not doing anything. Huh? Briac is doing three parts in the activity: adding the brand name, specialist climate cool material, and adding synthetic waterproof fabric. Briac तीन चीजें कर रहा है, बाकी 70-80% finished goods जो है that is coming from Goan company. Now, a service level agreement basically is put in place in order to sort these conflicts that are there between the two entities. See, you if you are trying to blame everything on Govan and saying कि यार जो भी गड़बड़ है इन्होंने किया है, so they should be held responsible, naturally Govan is going to have its own point of view. Na, it will not accept all these accusations lying down. What it will say is कि okay, some problems are because of me, but some problems are also because of Briac also. So when you frame a service level agreement, the issue is that who bears the responsibility for damaged or faulty goods. And the service level agreement should define कि किस point तक किसका responsibility है. Till which point is Govan responsible, and from what point does the responsibility of Briac begin. Now, that depends upon what kind of defect you are encountering. For example, it is a manufacturing stage defect. See, Briac performs additional manufacturing on Goan's clothing material, right? Briac's own manufacturing department can easily detect defects like, raw material is of a substandard quality, or the stitching disintegrating. मतलब ये जो कपड़े का stitching है, that is coming out. ठीक है? So, is that the problem? If the end user detects a problem, say quality issue hai, stitching issue hai, that becomes visible after purchase by the end user, या फिर sizing error है, ठीक है। अब who is dispatching the goods to the final customer? Briac is dispatching goods to the final customer. So isn't it Briac's responsibility to verify the size of the customer before sending the goods to him? So incorrect size अगर आप भेज रहे हो तो that is the responsibility of Briac. But if the stitching is disintegrating or the material is of a substandard quality, then it is the responsibility of Goan company. Now, if Goan cannot guarantee defect-free clothing, then Briac in the see we are now trying to say कि यार वो agreement में क्या क्या होना चाहिए. Agreement में the first thing that you should put in place is कि यार whose responsibility is till what point. And after that, if errors are discovered, then you should also fix up accountability, who is responsible and how will that responsibility devolve. Say if Goan cannot guarantee defect-free clothing, then uh, there will be some financial penalties involved. ठीक है. If the and it will also depend upon when exactly is the issue occurring and who detects or what stage is the defect detected. And when you impose these penalties, when you impose this accountability कि from this point to this point one entity is responsible, इसके बाद कोई issue हुआ तो the other entity is responsible, That will happen. Now, the other entity, Govan, it would also want to see, it is not going to take things lying down. Na? So it will also have a say when framing the service level agreement. What it might say is ki you should do a very thorough checking before the material is accepted in the manufacturing plant by Briac. So you can't come to us crying after the customer does kit later कि अरे there is some problem with the quality of fabric. When you are accepting the goods that we have sent, at that stage only you should check before you accept the delivery of goods in the Briac manufacturing facility. ठीक है. एंड देन इट कैन से कि इसके बाद अगर कोई प्रॉब्लम हुआ तो इट इज ब्रियाक्स रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी नॉट आर्स. So there could be an additional requirement in the service level agreement to do a thorough checking and certify the goods as, matching a particular quality before they are accepted. So naturally, unless all of these terms are agreed upon, it will become difficult for the two entities to work on the SLA. ठीक है. So let's read this part. देखो, responsibility for damaged and faulty goods. On the lines of what we have discussed.
So can you scroll down?
Sure.
Yes, sir. Scroll down.
Should I scroll?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
ठीक है. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
ओके, ये एक प्रॉब्लम हो गया विच इज रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर अ लॉट ऑफ हेडेक एंड हार्ट ब्रेक इन द एंटायर प्रोसेस. ठीक है. नाउ द अदर इशू दैट वी मेंशन्ड, एंड वो एक ही लाइन में लिखा था एक्चुअली वहां पे, कि दे आर नीदर ऑफ द रिक्वायर्ड स्टैंडर्ड नॉर डिलीवर्ड ऑन टाइम. अब ये नॉट डिलीवर्ड ऑन टाइम का क्या करेंगे?
Sir, in a service level agreement, the delivery time is also mentioned. And at what time, at what intervals, how much quantity do the company needs has to be mentioned in the service level agreement. And if the delivered goods are not delivered on time or of a substandard quality,
No, 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 no.
uh,
Quality will not come here, only time.
if there is has been delay which is like beyond anyone's control, then the penalty can be lighter. But when it is intentional delay from either of the company's side, then the penalty could be higher, and it could be mentioned in the service level agreement.
तो यहाँ पे Briac does not have any delivery obligation, right? It's with
Correct.
Goan company. Now, both of these are global companies, so it will depend upon shipping conditions, international trade regulations, and all of that. The service level agreement should define that it is Goan's responsibility for delivery, and all agreements now contain a clause known as a force majeure clause. What is that? If there is an event which we call as an act of God, or if there are these any kind of disasters or whatever kind of events are there which are beyond the party's control, then as you mentioned, in such cases either there will be no penalty, or there will be the penalty will be substantially reduced. For example, your material was shipped on time from Dubai, but by the time it reached India there was some congestion at the port. So it took, while the ship was had arrived at the port, it did not get an opportunity to dock at the port because of port congestion. So they had done their job of sending the material from the other country on time, and because of certain reasons beyond your control, it was not possible to get the goods delivered. So in that case, the penalty could be waived off. ठीक है. Briac will try to make Goan fully responsible for delivery. It might say कि arrange for alternative transport if shipping problems arise. Goan, it will try to resist that by you know specifically mentioning that while we are responsible for dispatching the goods at the right time, it is not our responsibility if there are storms or other factors which are beyond our control. So that is how we deal with the delivery time problem. ठीक है. Let's look at that. Let's look at the delivery time issue.
Please scroll.
Sure. ठीक है. नाउ टेल मी, ये दो इश्यूज हो गए सर्विस लेवल अग्रीमेंट में, विच इज अबाउट डिलीवरी टाइम एंड क्वालिटी. व्हाट अदर इश्यूज आर वी फेसिंग हियर? I think a fair amount of problems are happening because of the information systems and the fact that they cannot communicate with each other, right?
Correct, sir. Correct.
So one has, a technologically advanced system, the other one doesn't. There is lack of integration. Now, Briac will need visibility of what? It will need to know what is Goan's production schedule so that it can plan its own manufacturing and inventory. Without that, Briac will never know at what time the goods are arriving, right? Uh, so that access is not possible right now. Uh, what kind of information or what kind of additions can you make to SLA here?
What, sir?
Hmm?
Can you repeat?
So what I'm saying is what points should be included in the SLA with respect to these information systems?
Sir, Guam must update their information system in order for the service level agreement to work, which can help them in inventory management and shipment tracking, which can help both the companies.
Okay. Maybe having a shared system, shared information platform.
Yes.
Instead of uh, instead of saying that you update your system, maybe see because you are the bigger entity and you have access to all of these points to a certain level. I think what you can do is you can have a common dashboard, or you can have a common information sharing tracker or carved out system, so that the other entity see, because the other entity might say ki yaar, we don't why should we change our information systems and incur so much expenditure because one of our customers or one of our entities is asking for that. So in that case, what Briac company might do is they might basically suggest a shared system in which both the entities can invest and they can check out each other's data at regular intervals. I think that shared dashboard or reporting system might help. Instead of asking the other entity कि भाई तुम अपना खुद का system setup करो, nobody would want to spend that kind of money only for one specific item, है ना? So that is one way in which you could tackle the issues with the operating system. Anything else that you believe could be included in the SLA? Anything that comes to your mind? No?
Majorly, communication was a problem, and if they have a shared dashboard, I
Yeah.
think that can be solved.
Because that's a cheaper way, right? Telling the other entity you change everything that you are doing, they'll say, no, get lost. We are not going to interact with your entity. Or, it might create other problems. They will resist the addition of that. है ना? चलो इसको पढ़ो. ठीक है. ठीक है. So, faulty goods, delivery issues, that is what you should be focused on when you are framing the service level agreement. Okay. Now, that takes care of the first part of the question, which is what all points should be included in the SLA. What I have done is I have given you a detailed outline कि उसमें क्या क्या होना चाहिए. Apart from that, now what I want you to do is I want you to develop this part of the answer further. ठीक है. Now let's look at the second part, which is basically related to value-based management. दिखता छोटा है, as in the exhibit is shorter, but the expectation is for 13 marks. What is the expectation? Breac CEO was recently at a presentation on VBM, where the main presenter indicated that it was a management methodology best suited to a large-scale manufacturing company such as Breac. VBM was further explained as a methodology which takes the idea of creating value through the return of future cash flows and embeds this as an organization culture. It should align all a company's processes with the key drivers of value. Value based management. So, value drivers. An example of Briac's strategic performance report is provided in Appendix 1. This strategic performance report is produced by each SBU for the management board of Briac on a monthly basis. The format and structure of the strategic performance report has not changed in 3 years. The CEO now wishes to investigate the possibility of using VBM in all of Briac's SBUs, and he has asked you to evaluate how the introduction of VBM would affect the current measures in the strategic performance report prepared by SBU and recommend with justification as to whether VBM should be introduced at BRIAC. ठीक है. यहाँ पे Briac's performance report, financial indicators, sales, GP margin, operating profit margin, manufacturing में percentage of goods returned, percentage of goods produced and delivered on time to retail outlets, number of stockouts per month per retail outlet, and in marketing spend and marketing contribution to revenue. ठीक है. अब इस पे आपको आंसर फ्रेम करना है. What exactly is the expectation? The expectation is कि how does VBM, पूछा क्या है आपको? It is so critical to understand the requirement. Otherwise, आप अपने मन से you will end up writing something which they have not even asked. Possibility of using VBM in all of Briac's SBUs, and he has asked you to evaluate how the introduction or how VBM would affect the current measures in the strategic performance report prepared by the SBU and recommend with justification as to whether VBM should be introduced at Briac. Is it suitable for manufacturing and marketing? ठीक है. And how does it help to improve the financial measures also? First of all, in financial measures, what have they said? They have said that VBM has explained as a methodology which takes the idea of creating value through the return of future cash flows and embeds this in an organization culture. Basically, जो हम AFM में करते थे, value of the company is nothing but the present value of future cash flows, right? And value is
Correct.
enhanced when a project gives you a positive NPV. That is the idea that we are trying to put across. What is the current situation at Briac company? करंट सिचुएशन में परफॉर्मेंस रिपोर्ट में क्या है? सेल्स रेवेन्यू, जीपी मार्जिन, ऑपरेटिंग प्रॉफिट मार्जिन, राइट? दे आर प्रॉफिट बेस्ड
So
मेजर्स.
strictly profitability based measurement है ये.
करेक्ट.
And for value based management, the whole core idea is anything the management focuses on maximizing shareholders' wealth, shareholders' value.
हम्म.
And this is ideally done not by profit based metrics, but by cash flow based metrics like
करेक्ट.
economic value added or
हम्म.
NPV or cash flows, which are taken into account. And the change, ideally, we should talk about from profitability to cash flow and
हम्म.
how it can give a better picture of shareholder gains
हम्म.
and how profitability can be manipulated or might not give the full picture compared to a cash flow based uh, approach, which will give the company overall understanding of all the projects.
ओके. Now, do you agree that moving from profitability based measures to something like economic value added would basically involve a complete mindset change in the company? Right? Also, they have
Correct.
mentioned that this particular report, current performance report, has been used for 3 years, which means the company is, or the employees in the company are used to a particular way of measuring performance, right? So it is deeply embedded in the company culture, and that means there is going to be a resistance to change if possible, right? So if you want value based management and value creation, you should be shifting to economic value added as an approach, correct? Now, um, when I'm talking about manufacturing related value based management, so when I'm talking about manufacturing based measures, right now, percentage of goods returned, percentage of goods produced and delivered on time to retail outlets, and number of stockouts per month per retail outlet. इधर क्या करेंगे? See, in value based management or in general, the approach is that get it right the first time, na? Here,
Right.
so the focus should be on getting it right the first time and on time delivery. So existing measure a percentage of goods returned. It could be an indicator of product quality. Percentage of goods delivered on time is an indicator of whether delivery ka reliability है and all of that.
On time
Now
delivery.
both of these measures are well aligned with VBM. कोई problem नहीं है. They have also spoken about number of stockouts per month. That will also remain a key metric, right? What is a stock आउट? एक तो ना यहाँ पे इन्होंने मतलब funnily enough they have written a stock out is when the retail outlet does not have inventory of a particular product. So again, that continues to remain an important metric under value based management. You just have to explain the why part of it. Excuse me, why does it continue to remain a critical measure of performance even under VBM? And marketing
So
spend, huh?
I think uh, beyond manufacturing, the marketing indicators which they use now,
बट एक तो खत्म होने
that
थे,
needs to change.
एक तो
ठीक
खत्म
है.
होने थे, फिर दूसरे पार्ट पे जाना.
Sorry.
So in marketing, I think these three measures that we have, more or less, I think they seem aligned with the approach of value-based management. Either it doesn't seem like a big problem. Financial indicators may, yes, there is a bit of a problem. So that is the so mention that. Now let's turn our attention to marketing. The current measure is just marketing spend, but after spend value based, the calculation or the analysis has to be value based. So on one hand, if we are saying that we are trying to link everything to value, I don't see that happening here, है ना? Because just looking at marketing spend, but वो spend करने से value कितना create हुआ? Marketing spend only says कि spending कितना हुआ, खर्चा कितना हुआ, and keep that under control. But after spending 10,000 rupees, how much value are you creating? So if I spend 10,000 rupees or 5,000 rupees on promoting my video on YouTube, ठीक है, does that help me to get more student enrollments in the future? That is the right way to see whether marketing spends are adding to the value or not. So again, that is one part of it. Then linking that spend to brand value, if possible, might not be possible always. एक है marketing contribution to revenue. What is that? The percentage of overall SBU revenue that can be traced back to the marketing team's efforts. भाई ये तो ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस में बहुत बड़ा प्रॉब्लम है. आई मीन आई फेस इट विथ माई करंट सेटअप. मार्केटिंग वाली लड़की को लगता है कि सारा रेवेन्यू वही लाती है. वाई? बिकॉज शी स्पेंड्स, शी डिसाइड्स कि कौन सा एडवर्टाइजिंग कैंपेन रन होगा. इनपुट भले ही हमसे ही लेती है, लेकिन उसको लगता है कि शी ब्रिंग्स इन ऑल द रेवेन्यू. यू शुड सी द एटीट्यूड विथ विच मार्केटिंग पीपल मूव. सेल्स वालों को लगता है कि हम ही सारा रेवेन्यू लाते हैं बिकॉज हम बच्चों को बनाते हैं फोन पे. मुझे लगता है कि मैं लाता हूँ बिकॉज पढ़ाता तो मैं हूँ. सो
ये
आई
छोटी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में ऐसा ही होता है सर.
मोस्ट
सबको
ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में
लगता है उन्हीं की वजह से चल रही है.
मोस्ट ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस में ऐसे ही होता है. बट people don't realize that all of these functions are interdependent, right? So linking uh, Marketing spend to value creation or marketing spend to revenue is very difficult, because how do you know ki if I show you a video, what were you most impressed by? Were you impressed by the Insta reel, or were you actually impressed by how I taught? uh, the marketing person might say ki the reason why they saw your video is because I pulled them to our page. I will say that, but when you pull them to our page, if it was a horrible faculty, then they would have rejected the class, right? So it's going to be a fight between the two. This is a question which does not have an answer. Although, जाने दो, it's getting too personal suddenly. Let's not go down that
हम तो
path.
सर रिकॉर्डिंग ऑन है,
I don't
क्या
care.
फायदा?
I don't care. I am what I am. I don't care for what people think of me anymore. Anyway, I care for students' opinion. Baki people are not even collateral. Anyway, so the approach would be, what is linking a marketing spend to revenue is very difficult. It's not going to give an appropriate measure of anything. Uh,
Sir,
huh?
if I want to see value in marketing,
Hmm.
so I would ideally have to see uh, per marketing money spent,
Hmm.
the amount of revenue that I get, which is the second point.
Okay.
तो वो आई थिंक डायरेक्टली वैल्यू बेस्ड मैनेजमेंट पे है, क्योंकि वैल्यू बेस्ड मैनेजमेंट का होल पॉइंट इज एवरी डॉलर यू स्पेंड हाउ मेनी डॉलर्स कैश फ्लो इज कमिंग इन.
But that is what the problem is, na. In case of marketing, value-based management becomes difficult because it's very difficult to say how much of marketing spend generated how much value. Which is why, if you remember, in IAS 38, marketing spend done on a great advertising campaign can never be capitalized, because you don't know how much of that is leading to generation of future economic benefits, right?
करेक्ट
You
करेक्ट
really
करेक्ट.
don't know ki, chalo, marketing, say for example, there is a brilliant advertising campaign that, आजकल तो I don't know what advertising campaigns run, but saying something like ठंडा मतलब Coca-Cola, that became like an entire, that tagline stayed for years and years. But how many people purchased a Coke because of that tagline is very difficult to establish, right? That creating that link between a spend and that value creation, that becomes difficult. So applying VBM here might be for it might not be possible, or it might not be that easy, right? So
करेक्ट.
that's the part that we are trying to emphasize on the value based management bit. Manufacturing में easy है, and the first part also, it's relatively easier to do that in the
सर
financial
एक
performance
और चीज,
measures. हाँ.
ये जो फाइनेंशियल परफॉर्मेंस में जो अपने को रेशियोज दे रखे हैं, डू वी आल्सो हैव टू गिव the alternative like economic value added, like NPV,
Especially,
like
yeah. You have to mention. You don't have to write
so.
in detail what is EVA or NPV, but just mention that these are better performance indicators.
तो ईवीए के बारे में व्हाट डू आई हैव टू राइट? डू आई हैव टू राइट 3-4 लाइंस कि भाई
2-3
दिस
lines
इज
are
हाउ?
enough. See, your focus has to be drawn to the fact that this is a cash flow based measure, which is a more realistic estimator of value. है ना?
करेक्ट.
So you have to focus on that. Don't spend like 5-6 lines मत लिखना. 2-3 lines are enough. So in the points that I have put together, I have mentioned कि कैसे कैसे डालना है आपको. ठीक है?
So if we bring VBM into picture, तो फिर marketing measures completely eliminate हो जाएंगे.
Eliminate नहीं होंगे. See, we'll have to mention the fact that right now it is not suitable for a VBM environment, marketing spend, or it, because it's very difficult to establish that link. You see, don't cancel out VBM कि यार ये कभी होगा ही नहीं, but at least mention that ये जो दो parameters है ना, they are not very very appropriate when it comes to VBM. There could be better measures of doing it, but right now in the current setup we don't have those. ठीक है?
प्लस सर हमको होल कंपनी के बारे में नहीं पूछा है. वी हैव स्पेसिफिकली बीन आस्क्ड अबाउट द एसबीयूज, डिफरेंट एसबीयूज. सो
Yeah.
मार्केटिंग स्पेंड सर आपने भी ये लिखा है कि इट इज फॉर द होल कंपनी, ब्रांड वैल्यू, मार्केटिंग कॉस्ट एंड एवरीथिंग. and SBU pay specifically you can't put. So value-based management for them is not possible.
Yeah, that's fair. ठीक है? Okay.